take my online Love Your Birth course, for example. She was in another country. She's from the United States, but because her husband was stationed there, she was in another country, and she only had an access to an obstetrician. And he said he's never seen natural birth. He doesn't even know what it is. She went to him and she says, "I'd like a natural birth." And he, like most obstetricians, like the obstetrician that works with me and backs my practice, he says they don't teach us natural birth in medical school. They teach us to do surgery, look for complications and problems and disease, and manage them medically and surgically. So my obstetrician tells everyone, if you want a normal natural birth, you don't want an obstetrician, right? You go with the midwives. But anyway, she was in this country that didn't have in a rural area, and all they had was one obstetrician in this local hospital. She took my course, and she informed herself, and she got empowered, and she respectfully spoke up, and she said to this doctor, "I would like a natural birth." He says, "I don't know how to do that. I don't know what that means. I've never seen it. I don't know what that is." So she just said, "I just want you to be a fly on the wall. I don't want you to fix or touch or meddle or intervene, and just be there in case. Just be there in case." He said he was very uncomfortable. He's not whatever, but she persisted. Anyway, she had this natural birth with him, and he who was brought to tears? Who do you think was brought to tears?
The
So, not
OB.
just the dad. Yes, he says he's never seen anything like it. She told him, "Don't touch it." Like, she went in, she prepared in advance, she understood her mindset was, she had to make her strong in her mindset and have she had an advocate with her, but, he was instructed not to touch. If everything's all well, just leave it alone. And he was brought to tears with how beautiful it was because all he does was cesarean and inductions. All right. So think of the ripple effect that will have on his practice. He was a changed man. He was brought to tears to see such a difference in a birth. So it's not like an intensive care unit having a baby, a crisis waiting, a panic emergency situation. It was just a beautiful birth in a hospital setting who was prepared.
There's this common myth that birth is something that just happens to you. You go to the hospital and there's experts who will guide you through it. And you just gave us an amazing example of what happens when you trust yourself and your own body. So, can you explain with just a couple of examples how a person can actually influence how their own birth goes through their actions before or during labor?
Must, this takes preparation. There's this what I'm seeing right now because I do home birth and hospital birth. So I have a different population that comes to my practice versus the ones that come to the hospital. And the people that come to my practice are people that want to birth naturally, and they want a physiologic birth. That takes preparation today because we just don't we're not around it, right? We're cultured to not tolerate pain. We are, like, how can we fix it? Can we press a button and like it's the TikTok swipe generation, right? The just sort of not used to discomfort, press a button and let it be finished. So we really, I encourage you. This is something we like. You say, just like if it's natural, if our bodies know what to do, can't we just show up and do it? No, not today, not today. We don't have the support. We don't have the mindset. If you want to have a natural birth, you have to prepare. Even if you want to have an epidural, you're still going to have to deal with labor until you get the epidural. And the epidural doesn't always work, and the epidural has risks, right? So that you need to know the pros and cons before even making that decision, right? So nobody would ever say, I'm a dancer and I'm an athlete. So no one would ever say, and I'm a yoga teacher as well, you would run the marathon or you would perform as a lead ballerina or a lead dancer in a show, or you would be an Olympic athlete without any preparation and without any coaching. If you want to succeed today, you have to prepare.
And what would be the 3 things you would tell a mother?
So one of it is to understand, and so whether it's reading my book, reading other books. There's so many books out there about how birth is normal. Birth is a normal part of life. There's so many authors, Ina May Gaskin, and just about trusting that our bodies know what to do, right? Um, that is number one. Like I think that is a key, but we don't always have that trust. There's fear. So I think it's very important to take a comprehensive childbirth class. Don't just wing it. You need to be able to understand what's normal, and because when you're in labor is not the time to prepare. You want to be able to be so when it really gets intense, because birth is intense. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it's painless. Whatever you want to call it, they are intense sensations. So I want you to be able to practice things in your pregnancy, whether it's yoga or hypnobirthing or meditative breathing, and focus, so that when you're really in an intense situation, you can just ground yourself. You can tap right in. That takes practice. You can dive in, you can relax in, you can send breath into the intense sensation, and you don't fear it. Because usually when something is painful, it means something's wrong. Not in birth. When something is painful and they come and go, and like the normal labor comes and goes, you can do anything for a minute and a half, and yes, it can be what we call as painful, but it means everything is right. So it's a real shift in a mindset, mindset, and the fact that it's happening right, and it's a normal, and you could do anything for a minute and a half. So what can you do? So when you fight it, it makes it worse. But when you dive into it, I mean, I've had people love their birth, be in ecstasy with their birth. I was in the documentary Orgasmic Birth, but when women are prepared in this way, and their choices are supported, and they're allowed to walk and move, and just sort of follow their intuition, follow their inner monkey, their inner lion, their inner instincts of what to do. It's mother-led childbirth. They could be in extremely challenging, intense situations, but they could still love the experience, and find it's such transformational, um life changing event, but it's still painful.
What you mentioned about the fear is really interesting. When I was pregnant with my first and the idea of birth scared me so much, my sister told me, just when the first big contraction comes, don't be afraid of it. And then you accept it and you breathe with it. And I think that was such
No,
amazing advice,
embrace
which is
it,
exactly what you
embrace
just
it,
said.
embrace with it,
Mhm.
because when there's fear in the room, there's stress that affects the laboring mom. So Michelle O'Don, who was an obstetrician in France and now in England, he's famous for saying the best intervention that a midwife can do at a birth is to knit, because it's that calm presence of a midwife who's seen the thousands of births, and keeping her hands busy, so she's not meddling in anything that's in the process of giving birth, and her heart's open, her mouth is open, her ears are open, her eyes are open, and she's just knitting, and she's and that calm is contagious. That will come over to the mom, and make her calm. And but, if we need to put the knitting down, we'll put the knitting down. But I'm just saying that's a very different energy than people coming in, and putting the women on monitoring every heartbeat, and giving an IV, and doing a lot of the common routine interventions that are done in the hospital, that people just expect that's routine and normal. But everything has every intervention that's done on normal birth has a risk, and causes the woman to feel like she's a sick patient, and that they're the experts. And I want women to know that it's your body. And so you need to know that you have autonomy over your body. And if someone is recommending an intervention, you can decline. Um, if everything is well, and you could say, I need a minute. right? If there's no emergency, I need a minute. I wanna know the pros, the cons of this intervention, and also, what are the alternatives? Like, what happens if we do nothing? You do not have to just succumb and do everything, that they say.